Aloha, this is Kai Pacha with the weekly Pele Report for May 8th of 2013, and I'm just walking along the path of life here, just coming up to the solar eclipse. Is tomorrow, May 9th, at 19 degrees of Taurus. So that is a new moon happening, and in the midst of that, along tomorrow, besides just the eclipse with the new moon going on, we also have Venus moving into the sign of Gemini. It's been in Taurus for about a month. It's going into Gemini now, from Earth into air. It's going to lighten up here a little bit. And we've got Mars still in Taurus, coming up to a conjunction with the south node of the moon this weekend. It's a very powerful situation going on there. Oh my goodness. This trail is going crazy on me. So anyway, oh yeah, the moon stays in Gemini through the weekend a little bit, and on Sunday goes into Cancer. Next Tuesday goes into Leo. I'm going to just find a good little spot here, sit down and give you the interpretation of these astrological times, signs of the times. Be right back to you. Okay, well, I got a little spot here. There is so much to say going on these days. A solar eclipse. We have these eclipse seasons. It's an eclipse cycle. It's when the moon and the sun cross over the moon's nodal axis, which is where the path of the moon crosses over the ecliptic. This is a south node eclipse. The last north node eclipse was November 13th of 2012. And there's a linkage between these eclipse cycles. You may have begun something around the middle of November last year, and now it's coming to a completion. It's coming to a fruition. This is a change. This is an ending of the old, and I'm going to talk a lot more about what's ending and what's coming. And I'm going to use today the Sabian symbols. And the Sabian symbols is a set of pictures received by a psychic and recorded by Dane Rudhyar, one of the fathers of humanistic astrology. Now gone, I think he died in '85, but he was an amazing man, actually a musical composer, a French, he was multi-talented, a Renaissance man. But he wrote many, many, many books. He's considered the father of humanistic astrology, and I really like his Sabian symbol book. Mark Edmund Jones also had a little bit to do with it, but what it does is they held a blank card up to the head of the psychic, and it had the degree of the zodiac on it, 360 cards, and the psychic saw a picture, and then that picture is interpreted. And I'm going to interpret some of those pictures today. So I got to tell you about it a little bit, yeah. First of all, the moon's nodes are very powerful. I talked about them last week. If you're into astrology, you know all about Rahu and Ketu, and you know, it's very powerful, the dragon's head and the dragon's tail. And an eclipse is not just an eclipse. There's the north node eclipse and the south node eclipse. A north node eclipse, the moon is much more powerful. Any planet is more powerful on its own north node. So the sun takes a passive role, and the moon and emotions were very powerful in Scorpio, north node of the moon, last November. And now it's coming around to the south node. And we just 2 weeks ago, this very day, like 2 weeks ago, I did this Pele Report on the lunar eclipse. And that was the full moon. The moon was in Scorpio, around, not quite on the north node. But these last 2 weeks, then the moon has been coming around, and now tomorrow, 12:28 Pacific Daylight Time, okay, we have this solar eclipse at 19 degrees of Taurus. The moon's nodes are at 16 degrees Taurus Scorpio. And we want to look at the Sabian symbols for these degrees. 16 degrees of Taurus and Scorpio, and then of course the solar eclipse at 19 degrees of Taurus. Because they'll give us further information and clues as to the interpretation and the overall meaning of this particular evolutionary stage in our development. And of course, where this eclipse falls, where's 19 degrees Taurus in your chart? The house, the position, the aspects to other planets. This is really going to be a very important turning point. It's kind of a new birthing time, a solar eclipse. Because now down here on the south node, the sun is dominating over the moon. Yeah? So the last one, the moon was stronger. Now we have not only that, but the solar eclipse is following a lunar eclipse. This is a lot of astrology, I know, for some of you that aren't into astrology, but anyway, I just want to give some kind of a background for the interpretation that I want to give to this, because it's a very important time of shedding our skins, shedding the past. We know Scorpio has to do with death, release, letting go. And of course, the moon is the past. It's our childhood. We have a PhD in our moon signs. They have to do with our past lives character, the jobs that we had in our past lives. And then they come in this lifetime, and it sets the stage with our early childhood, our experience of the mother. And this is very important now, as then these last 2 weeks have been opening up these emotions that have been conditioned. It's been a time of becoming aware of our feelings and our fears and our needs. The moon is lunacy. It's the lunar, it's the unconscious. What's in the unconscious? Why is everybody so, like, woo, crazy about the full moon? And it is associated with lunacy. It's because it's where we stuff, where we ignore, suppress, deny, fear. I don't want to feel that feeling right now. It makes me uncomfortable. It makes me itchy. It gives me goosebumps. I'm going to go have a Coke. I'm going to go have a beer. I'm going to go smoke a joint. I'm going to go to work. I'm going to go watch a movie. Because I'm just feeling something uneasy now, uncomfortable. Well, that stuff, those feelings it's who we are. It's our past conditioning. And if we don't ignore them and seek distraction and avoid them, we can actually feel them and, not be intimidated, not be so scared, threatened, or overwhelmed by them. The more you do this, the more you can move through them and feel those feelings, and those feelings give us very important information about our path, about where we need to go, about our heart, our passion, our excitement. So hopefully these last couple of weeks, that lunar eclipse brought up, some stuff. And so let's look at that lunar eclipse was going on. It's, the nodes, the north node is at 16 degrees of Scorpio. That is a young girl's face breaking into a smile. And if we interpret that symbol, that picture, that is a human willingness to engage in relationship. Animals are unconscious or subconscious. You know, I'm sure your dog or your cat may be different, but, you know, they just react and respond unconsciously, automatically, instinctively to people, places, things. But as human beings, we have a conscious free will to choose to embrace relationship, to smile. It's like, yeah, I'm open to you. I'm open to this relationship. Or, no way. I'm shut down. I'm closed off. I'm not interested in you or a relationship or anything you've got to say, baby. See you later. So we have a choice. We have a free will. And that point then, you know, the middle degrees of Scorpio is very powerful. Yeah, it's, you know, at the Antares and Aldebaran are two stars that actually formed. They started the zodiac ages ago when the signs lined up with the constellations. So the middle of Scorpio is a very powerful area there. And so this willingness to enter into relationship brings up, yes, needs, feelings, desires for contact, for emotional rapport, for relationship. I want to relate. And that brings up trust issues, all the fears from the past, all the relationships that didn't work, you know, when mom didn't pick me up and I was crying. I mean, all the way back down to, you know, when I'm in the crib and nobody's listening. The fear of rejection, all kinds of things. So these last 2 weeks have been have been a time. It's been pretty emotional, pretty emotionally intense, you know. And I talked about, you know, sexuality and also finances, and all these fears come up around security, self-sufficiency, trust, not only other people, but life in general. And so now we come to the solar eclipse tomorrow. Whoosh! We made it. We're here. And Venus moves into Gemini, the curious one. And then, you know, this weekend, the moon comes around and joins Jupiter and Black Moon Lilith in Gemini. This weekend, Venus squares Neptune. Venus was conjunct Neptune March 1st. So even March 1st, there was this romantic idealism happening. And now, yeah, next week, the 15th, yeah, Venus comes around and squares Neptune. And that's, again, an opening. The seed that was sown in the beginning of March now wants to bloom, wants to break out, wants to open up. Venus, Neptune. And that Venus is in Gemini. We're going to, you know, Geminis talk about it. But let's just look now at this, you know, at this south node of the moon. The Sabian symbol for the south node of the moon is an old teacher no longer interests his students with the material. Old ways, old wisdom, old teachings, old knowledge don't count, don't work anymore. And this is what's interesting, at least to me. Oh God, this is a long Pele Report. I got lots to say today. Venus going into Gemini. Anyway, and Mars conjunct the south node. We are cutting the cords of the past. Mars is the sword. South node of the moon is the past. We're cutting the cords of the past. We are no longer interested, and the knowledge doesn't work. We're in Taurus. My instincts, my senses, my body. Speaking of which, I'm choking myself. But what we have, what this means, our mind, our brain, our knowledge can interpret our reality any way we want. It's ego-driven. It's our emotions that are the source. That's why our emotions are important to pay attention to. In Western civilization in particular, we're taught that our thoughts are all important. But just think about it. You're at a party, you're talking to someone, and they turn around and go away. your mind comes in, and it depends on your emotions. It depends on how you're feeling. If you're feeling inadequate, fearful, unworthy, small, and insignificant, your mind will interpret that person walking away as a rejection, that they don't think you're worth anything, that you're dumb, that you're insignificant, and you will support this feeling that you have with your interpretation of reality. So what we have then, besides a couple of people paddling up here in a boat, is that if you're feeling joyful and you're feeling good and you're feeling optimistic and you're emotionally secure within yourself and you're feeling worthy, you're going to interpret that person walking away as, oh, okay, boy, that opens me up for something new. I mean, you won't even attach a judgment around it. And so just think that's just one tiny little example. But every business deal, every marriage or divorce, every child custody case, I mean, every house that we move, buy or sell, I mean, everything that we do, we've got all these experiences, and our brain is constantly interpreting them. So we want to be, this is letting go of the old interpretations, the old knowledge, the old way of interpreting our reality, in order that this solar eclipse tomorrow opens us up to a whole new reality, a whole new possibility. And 19 degrees Taurus Sabian symbol, winged clouds drift across the sky. Yeah? This is just like spirits, angels, yeah, move across and above us, are looking down upon us. It's this spiritual world, this divine essence or nature, yeah, opening up a new sky for us. So I'm saying that these last 2 months have been about a lot of, I don't want to say regurgitation, but I do want to say that a lot of the past coming up, and some of your thoughts, maybe some of your decisions, I hope not, were determined, by past occurrences of an unconscious, emotional, negative patterns. But now, tomorrow, today, tomorrow, Friday, I encourage you, open up, break out, go free. So there can be, this is a turning point. This is a turning point. Things may have not been going so good lately, all I'm saying is, yeah. I think next Wednesday Mercury goes into Gemini, then the Sun's going to be going into Gemini. Things are coming out of Taurus, they're coming out of the south node of the moon. It's been very necessary and very good to ground ourselves, Taurus, in a new reality, in a new set of values that it's going to take off. So I could go on and on, Jesus, man, because the middle of Taurus, 15 degrees. This is the Beltane. This is it's the cross quarters from the solstice equinox points. This is right. Well, I'll talk about that later. The nodes aren't quite at 15 degrees yet. They're still at 16. So the mantra for this week, if I can remember it, is, my response to life will show what emotions need to go, that on my path the light will shine. Leading me as the fear of failure is no longer mine. Speaks for itself. Say it over a few times, meditate on it, whatever. It's a mantra, I'm not going to. My response to life will show what emotions need to go, that on my future path may shine. I forget what the hell it is. That on my path the light will shine. The fear of failure no longer mine. I'll type this out so you can look at the written version. God. Oh, goodness me. And I was going to close today with a little, update on the Kaipacha Healing Festival, which we've started selling tickets 2 weeks ago on that lunar eclipse, yeah. And we launched this Indiegogo campaign to raise some funds to make this thing happen. And this festival, it's even been talked about changing the name from festival to, to like, a circle. Because it is about a gathering of the tribe, a gathering of the circle of people that are not distracting themselves, but really have this desire to move towards the divine and open and use the company of others. Music, kirtan, yoga, astrology, dance, channeling, soul reading, singing, I mean everything in order to break out and break free into a new paradigm and then help to create that new paradigm. Anyway, you got to do it, man. If you're thinking of coming, I hope you buy a ticket. And if you can't join in person, you could contribute to the Indiegogo campaign. I think we've got 10%. We're looking for 22,000. We've got over 2,200. But we're looking for the funding to like make this thing happen, bring these people over, yeah, from other countries to the United States. And then of course we're going to live stream it. So, even if you aren't able to physically show up and get a ticket, your donation can help so that you can watch what's going on and be there vicariously through the internet. So, yeah, look forward to you helping us out with that. And of course, if you can come, you got to come. Prioritize, make it happen, boom. It's all in what you value determines the outcome. Aloha, namaste, so much love.